Hello to the pessimistic, optimistic, and everyone in between. My name is Connor Philippi, and welcome back to the Minnesotan Sports Podcast. And happy Thanksgiving to everyone out there. I hope that you're enjoying yourself, having a nice day off, watching sports maybe, and everything else that comes along with Thanksgiving. I hope you have a great day and that you get some time to just reflect on everything and find things to be thankful for in your life. I know I'm definitely thankful for all the people I have in my life, my wife, my family, my friends, and everything else that I have to be thankful for. I could go on for hours talking about all of that. But in this video, for the sake of, a sports podcast, I thought it would be fun to go over a list of things. I have 9 things here that as Minnesota sports fans, we should be thankful for because I know sometimes it can be stressful being a Minnesota sports fan. It can be frustrating. We've definitely been defeated before, from Gary Anderson to Brett Favre throwing across his body to Twins playoff droughts to the Wild never making it to even the conference finals. There's a lot of things to be frustrated about and angry about, but there's also plenty of things to be thankful for. So we'll go over those things. Before we get into those Minnesota specific things, though, I have a couple of things I'm just thankful sports wise in general. First of all, the fact that sports exists. Can we acknowledge that? I the COVID era really put into perspective just how much sports mean to me because I wouldn't say I would go as far as to say I'm that guy who his team loses and it affects his whole life, like the rest of his week, and he's in a mood and everything. I know when to, subtract sports from the things that matter a whole lot in my life, and I'm not gonna be that guy that gets in fist fights with other fans in the stadium over results and everything. But I am a very diehard sports fan, and it does mean a whole lot to me. And it's really an escape when life gets difficult and you want to find something to look forward to. And there's just a lot of amazing things about sports. It brings the best out of people. There are amazing stories that come out of that. I mean, the Damar Hamlin thing last year, him bringing out the entire training staff at the ESPYs and teams donating to other teams, cities, hospitals, and everything. And there's so many great things that come out of it that it unites all of us. And I'm very thankful that sports are what it is and that there's a great community of people around me and around everywhere else that love sports the way I do. I mean, my friend Ben, who did radio with me at my college, and I'm still friends with him to this day over sports. We bond over sports. We talk to each other, send memes back and forth about sports. And I'm thankful for that friendship and all the other people that I've gotten to know because of their love of sports as well. So I just wanted to say that first. Secondly, also, I think we should all be thankful for the people that got us into sports, whether that's family members, friends, athletes themselves that we watched on TV when we were kids. I know for me personally, I'm very thankful that my dad introduced me to sports when I was at a very young age. I mean, he took videos of literally everything we did as kids, and in all those home videos, there was something going on in the background. It was, Dick Bramer's voice or, Vikings game on, and it got me into sports, and I never looked back after that. I think the first memory I had of really caring about sports, besides just being, introduced to it, was when I saw Joe Mauer, and that really got me into both playing it and watching it, and it just took off from there. But I have my dad to thank for getting me as into it as I was. So make sure you thank the people in your life that got you into sports and encourage you to do the things you love. But without further ado, let's go into the actual 9 Minnesota centric things that I would like to say that I'm thankful about and that we should all be thankful about as fans. I'm going to have a rotation of different hats going on throughout the course of the video. But let's just start out with the fact that we have 4 teams to watch. We got the Wild, Twins, Vikings, and Timberwolves. Not a lot of states have even 2 or 3 professional teams, and we get to watch all 4. There's never a part of the year where we don't get to watch a Minnesota sports team in those 4 core sports. And, think about some of the states in that kind of muddled area over there where they don't even have a team. They have to find some random team to root for. They're miles and miles away from the nearest stadium. I mean, let's all be thankful as people who live in Minnesota. If you don't live in Minnesota, I'm sorry about that. But the fact that we get to go to games as much as we want to and that we can watch all 4 sports. Number 2, I think one thing is the amazing announcers that we have in our state. I have three particular ones in mind. We've got even more than that I could rattle off, but one of them is Dick Bramer. Unfortunately, of course, he's not going to be calling games anymore for the Valley Sports and for the Twins. He's going to stay involved with the organization. But I'm very thankful for the time we got to have with Dick Bramer on the call. He deserves to step away, but I remember when he was at his peak, and I remember those days in the early 2000s watching him call games, and just I will always associate his voice with Twins baseball as long as I live, no matter who ends up replacing him. And then, of course, we got Paul Allen. I mean, Paul Allen, it's going to be a travesty if he doesn't get into the Broadcasting Hall of Fame someday. He is just electric. He calls games like a fan, which I really wish happened more often, kind of that Gus Johnson vibe. And I will never think of the Minneapolis Miracle call any other way than the way he called it. And he's just an amazing guy and amazing fan of the Vikings and great call, a great guy on the call. There's no guy I think deserves more to be able to witness a Vikings championship than him. So hopefully we can do that for him. And then finally, a guy that I don't think gets enough credit, Anthony LaPantha. His calls of wild games are iconic. I mean, his goal call is just far and away better than any other local, at least, announcer that I've seen. And I just the only other more notable guy that I will remember in my mind than LaPantha is Doc Emmerich, of course. No one's ever going to pass that. But let's just be thankful for the amazing announcers we have that make Minnesota sports games even more electric. Number three, change out. Let's be thankful for Kirk Cousins and the fact that he is who he is, and Kirk Cousins is kind of the guy that we see. Of course, there's a lot of other guys on all of these different teams that do great work in the community. Now we saw that offensive line thing a few weeks ago where offensive linemen and defensive linemen as well dressed up as Halloween characters and dressed up with kids, and it was to benefit I think it was a children's hospital. Amazing stuff that all these players do. Kirk Cousins really in the forefront of that. He tore his Achilles, and the next day, or maybe 2 days later, he was out, hanging out with, kids doing charity work. And so we were really lucky to have him, and hopefully he stays with us. But really grateful for the time that he spent as a member of the Vikings, even if he does leave. The next thing I have on the list is in every single major sport we have the guy right now. And hopefully some of these guys don't leave in the next few years. I'm crossing my fingers that they all stay because it would be great for all of our franchises. But there's not a lot of different teams that can say they have that one guy in the organization that's an absolute superstar that the entire league knows and that can put everyone else on lockdown and is the leader for their team. And for the Wild, we got Kaprizov. He's not as prolific of a goal scorer right now, but he's still providing those assists and he's still the best guy on the ice for us. Anthony Edwards is just unbelievable. I just watched the whole game, seeing him play tonight against the 76ers. I'm wondering if we ended up pulling that out right now because it's probably getting close to ending. But anyway, I'll check that later. But Anthony Edwards is an amazing player for us. We haven't seen this much raw talent out of a guy for a very long time, and hopefully he can continue to be the center of our team for a very long time. He was at the forefront of making the Timberwolves as good as they are this year. Justin Jefferson, I don't care all the people of the Vikings are this record without him. He's the best wide receiver in the league, if not in the top three. And he's going to continue to make our team better. Hopefully we get an extension. I don't need to say much about him. We know about JJ. And then Royce Lewis and kind of / Carlos Correa. These two guys, huge for the Twins last year. If Royce Lewis can stay healthy, he's going to be the next Derek Jeter. I'm going to call it here. I'm not just saying that because I'm biased, because my friend Jake knows him and I got to meet him and everything. I root for him even harder because of that. But I really do believe that if he can stay healthy, which is an if, of course, but he can completely change this organization. And then Carlos Correa is going to be huge for us in these next couple seasons. If we continue to go to the playoffs, his playoff experience really changes the game for us. So really thankful to have him in our organization. Halfway through here, bear with me. Number 5, the Twins playoff drought is finally over. Continuing with the Twins talk, it was just amazing to actually be in the stadium when our playoff streak was over, and I was had the I told the story already. I was working a very important event with my work, so I any other day I could have left early to go to the full game, but I was still able to leave in like the fourth inning and race to the stadium, and I was able to make it for the last half. And I was really glad that I still made that work, and it was so amazing to be in the stadium when that happened. And of course, we went on to win our first series win in almost 20 years, and the Twins really exciting this season. And that segues into number 6. The Minnesota Twins have a good team now, and they also have a really great future. The Twins going into the last season, I had very low hopes for them, and I was very skeptical all the way through until they finally started to show what they could do. Royce Lewis caused a resurgence in this team. Carlos Correa picked it up, and then we saw what this team could do pitching wise and hitting wise in the playoffs. Now the hitting wasn't exactly up to par, but our pitching and Lopez and everything like that, it made me believe that we could be a playoff team for the next couple of years. And then looking at our farm system, I mean, we've got amazing guys both in pitching and hitting in our farm system that's going to make us hopefully good for the next few years. The fact that we have Brooks Lee just waiting in the wings, and we are going to have to figure out a spot for him to go because we also have Royce Lewis and we also have Carlos Correa. Like the fact that we don't even know where we're going to put Royce or Brooks Lee is just incredible. We have a lot of young guys coming up, and it's going to be really exciting. We have some exciting young guys in the Wild organization as well as on the Vikings defense, and it's just a lot of excitement with young guys as well throughout the entire state of Minnesota. Number 7 out of 9, the Wolves are good. I put a big question mark next to that because I'm kind of afraid to declare that. With the Wolves in the last few years, they started to look good, and it's kind of just like wait and see because they're going to have a downfall. But this season does feel a little bit different. Anthony Edwards is having even more of a resurgent year this year. Rudy Gobert looks like he's actually making his way through the progressions and being good in this offense. And it looks like he's actually starting to mesh with Cat, and things are starting to work out, and the passes are connecting. Not to mention the fact that our defense is now went from one of the worst defenses the last couple of years to now being one of the best. The defense is kind of starting to level out a little bit more, but our offense is now starting to take off, and we're now leading, the last time I checked, 76ers by like 16 late in the fourth quarter, so we're almost for sure going to win that game and improve to 11-3. I mean, this Wolves team is really legit right now, and I'm still kind of wary about that. I'm kind of waiting to see what happens, but the fact that they are as good as they are right now, definitely something to be thankful for. Number 8 of 9, the Minnesota Wild. This is kind of half a frustration, but also if you're looking at it from the bright side here, we are 1 year closer to the Parise Suter buyout being finally over. The Wild is still paying out until 2025 those Parise and Suter contracts. This year, those two contracts for players that aren't even playing with the Wild right now, they are taking up 20%, I believe, of our salary cap, and it's just completely restricting us from getting the players we need to improve and continue to compete. And it's one of the main reasons why we're 5-8 right now instead of 8-5. And so just we're so close. We're just got to wait a year or so more, and finally that will be over, and we can actually pay our players, and hopefully we can start to work towards being good again. But it was a frustrating situation, and it's getting close to being over. So that's definitely something to be thankful for. And then finally, number 9, to wrap things up, it's kind of a layup, but I am thankful personally that we have a fan base that's never going to give up on our teams. All the people come in saying, man, Minnesota sports fans are so pessimistic. They're in their team's comments just trash talking their own team. And it's not that we hate our teams, it's not that we hate them, it's that we are pessimistic because we have gone through a lot of pain in the past. But one thing that will never change is we love our teams. We are obviously very critical of them, but it's because we want our teams to succeed, and we're going to root for them until the end. We're always going to get tickets sold in our stadiums and root on our teams. the support we gave for our teams was a major factor in the Vikings staying when they almost left and building that new stadium in Minneapolis. We are a very passionate fan base, and we're some of the best fan bases in the league across all the different franchises, and that's also something I'm very thankful for. Let me know in the comments. I'm sure there's plenty of other things we have to be thankful for, certain players. If you want to give specific players within different organizations a shout out. Also, let me know in the comments just things you're thankful for. I love to hear from you guys. Again, I hope you have very good Thanksgiving days. If you don't celebrate Thanksgiving, I hope you maybe get a Thursday off. That would be sweet. I also just want to say thanks to all the people that watch and listen to this podcast just in general. I'm very thankful that you guys like to come on here and listen to my takes. As crazy as they may be sometimes, I love doing this so much. And whether I have 10 views or 10,000 views, I'll be here spouting off my sports knowledge, whether it's into an abyss or into a crowd of people. So thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. But again, let me know in the comments what you think about these 9 things I have here and other things you're thankful for. Have a great rest of the week. Vikings preview will be up on Friday or maybe early Saturday, and all the other things going on throughout the rest of the week. But thanks again so much, and I'll see you on the flip side.